Okay, so I figured out the solution to the problem of the in-camera proxies having the one frame timecode offset. So let's go through that process again of importing the offline XML. Since all the media is in this project, uncheck that. Okay, tell it where all the camera originals are, right there. Okay, so you can see these clips are offline. They didn't relink, even though the clip is in the project. So the problem is because of the R3D in-camera R3D proxies were recorded because it had an old version of the firmware. The proxies were recorded with starting time codes that were one frame different from the R3Ds. So Resolve, as far as it's concerned, it doesn't think it's the same clip. Okay, so my initial workaround for this was to reveal the missing proxy in the media pool, which will take us to the same folder that the R3D would be. And then we noticed that the start time code of the proxy is one frame later than the actual R3D file, which caused this clip not to link. And so my brute force workaround would be to just do a force conform using conform block and then select the R3D and just go like that. And then this is one frame off of the reference. You kind of have to slip all these clips one frame to the left or right or whatever to get that alignment. So it's not such a big deal with a 30 or 60, but if this was like a long form project with a lot of cuts, that would be a huge pain in the butt. But I remembered that Resolve has a well, it's not a new feature, it's been in there forever, but I've never used it, but it's perfect for this. So let's get rid of this imported timeline. So rather than having to go through the trouble of manually conforming each clip and slipping it one frame, there is a feature in Resolve called, oh, this actually has to be in the media storage section. So if we go to dailies, okay, for just to make it easy, I'm just going to import the entire camera raw and then we'll get rid of the R3Ds. But if you right click on this, you'll see an option. Normally you would go add folders or add folder and subfolders to media pool. There's an option here called add folder with source offset. So what that will do, in fact, let me make a bin here so I can keep this. I can go R3Ds. I'll call this offset R3Ds. So I'm going to re-import those R3Ds into this bin, but I'm going to use this instead of using this subfolder and add folder and subfolders. I'm going to use add folder and subfolders with source offset. So if I go like this, it'll say how many frames you want to offset the time code of all the media I import. So in this case, I wanted to offset it by 1. And I think if you go -1, yeah, you can probably do negative if you want, but it's off by 1. So if the media has a consistent offset from the thing you need to align to, and this will probably work for audio as well. If you had B-Wave files or anything had embedded timecode, this is another way to deal with that. So if I hit apply, so it imported the R3D files. What I'm gonna do here is get rid of all the non-R3D stuff it imported because we don't want that with an offset. This is only for the R3D proxy. Okay, let's get rid of all this. Okay, so what you see here now, so actually if we click on the R3D files smart bin, this will show all the R3Ds in the project. So now what you can see, we've got two A1 C1s, but see now the time codes are offset differently. So this is actually the one we just imported with the offset command. So if we're going to re-import that XML file, reconform that, let's load it again. But this time, okay, you want to turn that off because the media is already in there. Hit OK, and then click on offset R3Ds, So instead of clicking on that, because this is the originals, but the original time codes which don't match the proxies, we want to actually tell resolve to conform to these offset R3Ds we brought in. So if you go like that, it's going to complain about all the non-R3D stuff now, but that's kind of beside the point. This is just to show what this function works. And now you can see it actually linked to the clips that previously didn't link because of the weird R3D uh, in-camera proxy issue. So, Resolve never fails to impress me with its all the little obscure features that helps with uh, problematic workflows like this. Obviously, you're going to want to relink all this stuff, but that's a separate deal, not a big deal. The goal here was just to prevent having to manually do that stupid thing I showed in the previous video about finding a media pool and then forcing the conform. This automates that. So that's one feature to keep in mind. If you ever have timecode offsets between two things you need to sync or relink to, that is the secret. It would be in the media page. Yeah, so the secret is using the add folder with source offset. So that's an awesome thing in Resolve.